The human immunodeficiency virus, also known as HIV, is a disease spectrum of the human immune system. HIV damages your immune system and destroys CD4 positive T cells. These very CD4 positive T cells are surface proteins that help with the maintenance of your immune system. But before we go into detail about what exactly HIV is, let us look where it originated from and how it became so widespread. Scientists discovered that HIV originated as a mutated version of a chimpanzee virus that was transferred to humans through contact with infected blood while handling bushmeat. One of the first outbreaks occurred in Cameroon that affected tens of thousands of people. However, it wasn't until 1920 in Kinshasa, a part of the Belgian Congo, that HIV spread so rapidly. During this time, there was a large amount of male workers being drawn into the city, which ultimately led to booming sex trade. From these favorable conditions, along with the contribution of railways, HIV began to rapidly spread to neighboring countries. As of 2013, approximately 35 million people worldwide are living with HIV/AIDS.
But what exactly is HIV? HIV, like all viruses, can't make new copies of itself without the help of a host. The relationship between HIV and its host cell is comparable to that of a parasite and its host. HIV, like most retroviruses, have two strands of RNA, along with the enzymes reverse transcriptase, protease, and integrase. HIV's reverse transcriptase enzyme converts the RNA in HIV to a double helix strand of DNA. The integrase enzyme then incorporates the HIV DNA into the host cell's DNA. When the host cell replicates, the HIV DNA also replicates, allowing the HIV to spread throughout the body. But how does the HIV get inside the host cell to begin with? HIV can't just enter any cell and make it a host. HIV can only enter cells with specific proteins called receptors. HIV attaches itself to cells that specifically have the CD4 and CCR5 co-receptors. The two co-receptors work together and create an opening in the cell membrane, usually used to allow other molecules into the cell. HIV uses this opening to enter the cell.
We already know that CCR5 is a receptor that allows HIV to enter the cell. So how can some people be resistant to HIV? They have a mutation in the CCR5 gene called CCR5 delta 32. With the mutation, the protein is not on the outside of the cell anymore. Because of this, the HIV cannot enter the cell. People with two copies of CCR5 delta 32 are virtually resistant to HIV. HIV can use other proteins to enter the cell, but this rarely happens. Can we stop HIV from spreading? Not really. Unlike most living things, HIV uses RNA to carry instructions for replication. HIV carries its own protein, reverse transcriptase, to copy RNA into DNA. This method is sloppy, and the viral offspring can differ slightly from the parent often. Some of the viruses might not work at all, but some of the offspring can work better by infecting cells in a different way. So a kind of evolution occurs. The new viruses can evade treatment and continue the spread of HIV.
Another reason why HIV is highly effective is because it causes defects in mitosis and cytokinesis through its VPR protein, a protein that is used in the viral replication cycle according to research from scientists at Columbia University. The VPR protein has induced negative effects in mitosis and cytokinesis that include aberrant mitotic spindles, multiple centrosomes, and multinucleate cells. These aforementioned concepts all contributed to HIV's rapid spread in Africa. HIV's ability to hide its genetic material in the genetic material of humans, combined with its use of transcription to make more of its own genetic material, has proved it to be highly deadly in human populations around the world. Many scientists believe that the virus was able to become a pandemic because of environmental conditions being favorable to the spread of HIV. The prevalent sex trade, the increased transportation, as well as the poor hygienic conditions of Africa during this time were highly beneficial to HIV spread. In fact, Professor Jonathan Ball from the University of Nottingham notes, many scientists believe that the spread of HIV had more to do with the conditions being right than it had to do with these viruses being better adapted for transmission and growth in humans.